Welcome to the new community board meetings, and I welcome the new people. So if you want to speak, if you could put your name in the chat bar so I know, and identify yourself so I know who you are, because I don't know everybody here. I say welcome again, and if any questions or comments, if you could keep them short, succinct, to the point, then we'll get through, because we've got quite a lengthy business, and we'll get through the business tonight. Okay, Matt, any apologies?
Chair, there's just one apology so far from Irene Gibson from Orbison Neighbourhood Centre.
Right, and Councillor McNally's put his apologies in. He's held up, but he'll try and join us later. Any other apologies? Thanks. Minutes of the previous meeting, and any matters arising? No, thanks. That's great. Item 4 was about the chair, when we had decided that we would rotate the chair, but nobody's shown an interest yet. But if anybody's interested in chairing the meeting, certainly let us know, and we'll give you all the help that we can. So if anybody's interested, if you let us know tonight, or let Matt that know later on, then we can arrange for it to happen. Okay. We're going through this quick. The next item is item 5, driving digital locally, and it's Katrina Hassel. Katrina.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Excellent. I was just wondering whether I was going to share or whether Matt was going to share. So there you go. It's coming up now, hopefully. Just wait on that to appear. So on to presentation mode, please, Matt. Thanks. So, yeah, as the Chair said, everyone, I'm Katrina Hassel. I'm the Head of Business Solutions in North Lanarkshire Council, and I'm the lead officer for the Council's Digital NL Transformation Programme. I live in Bellshill, and I think I've attended all of the community boards so far. But I'm here tonight really to seek your views and also hopefully your help on how to help the community to make good use of technology, particularly when interacting with the council. So the Chair mentioned that we have got some new people. In this slide, it's a reminder really on the purpose of the community boards. Over the course of the last few board meetings, we've agreed that the board provides a structure for local decision making and investment, and that then makes it a great place for me and my team to start seeking the views on the best way to implement digital NL at that local level through the community. I think so I promise to try to do so just in around 10 minutes. Next slide, please, Matt. A little bit of echo, but I'll just carry on and hopefully everyone can hear me. So I've got 4 key things that I want to speak to you about tonight. Firstly, what is the Digital NL programme and how does that align with some of the other ambitions that you've heard about over the last few meetings? Secondly, how might digital NL affect you as individuals or as community groups? Thirdly, COVID has taught us that digital can bring great benefits for all of us, and I'm looking for your help to help to move the council's vision for digital and get that message out more widely. And then finally, there's always an ask, and so there's a couple of things just to leave with. The council's always said that it needs to ensure that those who can't access digital or who are a little bit afraid it won't be disadvantaged in any way. And the best way for us to make sure that we can do that is to have you work with us to identify any issues and find a way to address them. Next slide, please then, Matt. So just starting with digital NL and the journey so far. Thank you. So this slide represents the plan for North Lanarkshire, and again, many of you have been on before, so you've heard us say that the plan's looking to focus on how all public sector partners can work together to develop North Lanarkshire as the place to live, learn, work, invest and visit. And the circle on the slide and the circles that are all round the middle of the slide represent the 5 key priorities for North Lanarkshire. And we've got what we call programme of work items. So we'll get several of those underway to help the council and its public sector partners to deliver on those priorities. Digital NL is one of those programme of work items. And what it's really about is redesigning council services to make them more modern, using a digital first and a customer focus. This is just a snapshot of all of the programme of work that relates to digital, and you can see that digitisation then features quite heavily in the council's future planning. On the left-hand side, those are specific digital NL programme of work items, and on the right-hand side, not specifically digital NL, but they are items that are happening elsewhere in the council that will be heavily relying on digitisation. Thanks, Matt. Next slide. So here's just some wee pictures just to kind of start to think about what digital might actually be and what it might mean. And these are the 6 digital strands that form the backbone of FAT5, that form the backbone of our transformation programme. So I'm just going to run down them very briefly, one row at a time. So in terms of the economy, we're hoping to attract inward investment and expansion, improving the connectivity and getting faster broadband access throughout the council area. In terms of the community, then we're really keen to use digital technology to support people to live independently for longer in their own homes, for example, and ideally using technology to give peace of mind to family members through automatic alerts if people have fallen. Just start to think about some of the technology that you might be able to use there. On the transactions, a key focus of digital NL and probably the area we want you to be starting to think about, we're wanting to make it easier for you to contact the council online and at a time that suits you. The workforce, so we're wanting all of our workforce, they've been obviously doing that over the last year or so, we're wanting them to be more digitally skilled and try and use automation where we can to free up resources and allow us to be able to allocate resources more effectively to the areas that matter most to communities. And lastly, we're wanting to make smarter use of the data that's already available to the council, but it tends to be in different pockets and different services. And our ideal is to find ways to bring it all together so that we're more aware of trends and can make better informed decisions. And those boxes that were on the right hand side, sorry, there's just to highlight them, wire black and wire grey. So the ones that are in black are some of the work streams that we've already got underway, and the ones that are in grey will be further down the line. So we've still got a little bit to go on the programme. So next slide, please, Matt. But for digitisation to work well, then we need you to help us to develop it at that local level, and just kind of wanting to touch on some of those points today. So we're wanting to work with you in identifying and meeting any digital needs or gaps that you think exist in the community, to help the communities to take advantage of job opportunities that we know are likely to arise in the technology sector, or to equip our young people, as they have been doing, to better participate in digital learning. Then we need to understand how and where we might actually need some more digital upskilling to take place. Next slide, please, Matt. But we know that won't be easily. Sorry, I can't speak tonight. We know that won't be easy, particularly since the earlier engagement session that we had here through the board before Christmas highlighted concerns in particular, that at the moment the council's doing all of its engagement using increased use of digital. And if I just focus here on some of the points that are specifically on the slide, because I know it's quite hard to read. In this first box up here on the left-hand side, when we did the engagement with boards before Christmas, all 9 localities identified digital inclusion as an issue, and 7 highlighting some concerns about the increased move towards digital. The middle box, 6 of the 9 localities raised affordability of digital connectivity as an issue. And again, 6 highlighted the need to enhance people's skills. The worry, then one of the things I'm trying to get out of today is how skilled people are and how comfortable they are at being able to use digital technology to be able to interact with the council. And then that bottom one in the left-hand side there, concerns about always using online, but other people also saying that they recognise the benefits of it. But I think it's fair to say, the pandemic has forced everybody to use digital. And the next slide looks at how far we've come, some of what's been achieved in the last 12 months. And again, I'll just pick some of those out. So with the digital ambition underway and the situation that we all find ourselves in, the community boards, all of our meetings have been taking place remotely, and there's been over 300 attendees, and because we're live streaming as well, over 1,100 of them being available to try and get more awareness of what's going on in the council. Over 3,000, actually that's an old slide, I've got the up-to-date numbers for that bullet point, over 4,500 devices and 1,700 connectivity solutions have been allocated out to help with pupils' remote learning. Although the number stays the same, the aim there was to get over 5,000 devices out to the pupils before the end of last month. Again, through the Scottish Government and funding, it's been recognised that because we're having to move digitally and try and keep in touch with everybody else, then a programme called Connecting Scotland provided funding to try and get devices out to people who didn't have access or perhaps who couldn't afford it. And there's over 1,800 of those devices have gone out as well. One there, it says a first ever immersive classroom, so it's really using 5G technologies. It's a pilot, but it's actually up in Cumbernauld. But obviously the hope through the town and the community hubs is that we'll get something like that in all areas for all of the communities to be able to use. And that's probably enough, Matt, if you just move on to the next slide. So, as I keep saying, for it all to work and for us to get increasing numbers within our areas feeling digitally confident, then we need to start being able to raise awareness. So what I'm hoping to get today is once you're getting a bit more awareness yourselves, that you'll encourage your groups to become involved. And if you know anyone that's struggling or feeling digitally excluded, try and doing a bit of signposting. We're suggesting here through community learning and development, but again, hopefully all of our libraries will be opening up again soon when it's safe to do so, and that's always been a great resource to the public, signposting them in there. Most people have got online accounts for shopping and banking, and the council's hoping to move into that modern world as well and do the same for council services. But to be able to access council services, then you need to have a My account, and I'm hoping to encourage you to start promoting that within your communities. Next slide, please, Matt. So this slide just provides some detail on a My account. So it's just the same as any other online account you've got, except it's for public services. It's fairly new, and the slide's just got some things in the middle there of the kinds of information that you or sort of transactions that you can currently do if you log on to the council website with a My account. But because the digital programme's really just at the start, and this is why we want to come out and start engaging with our communities to be able to take it forward appropriately, then as we move through time, there'll be many more council services will come available on the council website to be able to move that forward. Next slide, please. So this is the final bit, and hopefully that's not going at too fast pace. Really just a reminder that I'm looking for you to help increase awareness of the benefits of using digital and to start promoting that through your own groups. But ideally, for us to be able to truly understand what happens in the communities and be able to design our services to reflect that, then I really need some people to start getting involved with the council to design it. And think about your needs first. So asking there if you're interested at all, then there's an email address there. But otherwise, even just drop a comment in the chat or contact Matt, and he'll get your details to us, and we'll hopefully be able to start working on it together. And that's me. Hopefully that was just about 10 minutes as I promised. Happy to take any questions as well.
Thanks, Katrina. That was very interesting. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Katrina? Billy?
Yeah, it was just on it. How are you preparing to promote this within the community? Are you going to is it just going to be electronically, or are we going to see like a leaflet delivered into every household in the area?
So we've got a communications and engagement strategy, and largely, as we were saying, it has been just online. We've been doing quite a lot of drops online through social media and Twitter, etc. But really wanting to we haven't done any kind of household drops for a while, obviously just cost prohibitive, but really just trying to find ways to work with yourselves, using reps, pupil forums, any suggestions at all, to be honest, so that we can start getting that message out. Obviously all of our elected members, where we're regularly saying to them that part of driving digital locally is asking all of our elected members and their interactions with the community to be trying to promote as well, Billy. So any suggestions you've got at all on how we can get that wider reach, because that's what we're worried about, that the people who are more comfortable using digital will know the message and will come online, but actually it's the people that don't, and they're the ones that we've got concerns about being able to address their needs. How do we actually get them to be more aware and to speak to us? So I don't have a definitive answer for you to make sure we can reach everybody. So again, looking for your help to try and do that as best as we possibly can.
Be happy to share with all my groups that I am in touch with as well. So
Anybody else? Anybody else like to see? No, no. That's great. Thanks, Katrina. Great presentation. The next item on the agenda is the general updates. First one's the terms of reference. Christine Boyle. Christine.
Thanks, Chair. I just wanted to give a quick update on the terms of reference that was circulated previously to board members. I wanted to say thanks to all those who have responded so far. Some of the points that were raised were in relation to voting rights. And the voting rights will reflect elected representation on the board, but it's preferable that decisions will be made through consensus based on clear evidence and community engagement processes. Voting would be very much a last resort if consensus couldn't be reached. Language and terminology was raised as well, and what we're going to do is any abbreviations, we'll make sure that we've explained those fully, and we're going to add a glossary of terms to the end of the document to help with the understanding of the kind of terms that are used. What I'll then do is I'll recirculate with the amendments and for you to see, and then hopefully we can have that agreed by the board. Thanks very much. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Christine. Anybody any questions? No, thanks a lot. Board development sessions. Matt.
Thanks, Chair. It's just to raise some opportunities for the board going forward. You hear a number of things we discussed at the board, and like tonight, the presentation by Katrina about digital NL. You hear us talk about the programme of works, the local investment programmes, the local outcome improvement plans, participatory budgeting, a number of different things you'll hear discussed at the board. What we're going to be doing over the next, in the short term, is developing a session where board members can come along and participate in board development sessions so that you become more aware of what the items that we're discussing at the board going forward in the future, that you've got a more awareness and a better understanding of what these programmes of work and what the other issues are about. So just to let you know, we will be doing that over the next, in the short term, and we'll contact the core members of the board to make them aware of that, elected members also, to give opportunities to come forward and participate in those sessions. But in the meantime, if anybody's got any ideas about anything they would like to be particularly covered in those sessions, then please let us know. You don't need to let us know tonight, but you can let us know through Community Matters or directly get in touch with us, and we'll make sure that those are picked up in the development sessions going forward, Chair. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Matt. Anybody any questions or comments for Matt? No. Great. Oh, Hughie.
I don't know if I'm maybe going much forward here, but is there any word about the subgroups that they keep talking about setting up? Keep subgroups. Can you hear me all right, Chair?
Yes, we'll go to that later on the agenda, Hughie. We'll be discussing it. Anybody else, any comments? No, thanks. Local development programme, Matt.
Myself again, Chair, thanks. Just to highlight a couple of points on the report that was distributed in relation to the local development programme. For those who are not aware, the local development programme is a series of projects that have been carried out in the area. It's funded through North Lanarkshire Council, and there's a set criteria for those projects relating to a number of different issues coming from community groups, elected members, individuals, improve community safety, benefit a large number of people in the community, improve the appearance of the area, for example. The COVID-19 pandemic had impacted quite considerably on the delivery of the projects, but today I'm glad to report there's only one project still in the Bellshill area that's outstanding, and work actually started today on that one. You can see that highlighted in Appendix 1. Appendix 2 of the report relates to a number of projects that have been put forward by local communities in the area, and they've been previously approved by the board in principle. There's a couple of projects I'd like to bring to your attention. One's in the appendix and one has come into us later on. One is about additional CCTV in the area, seeking approval to have in principle approval for that, and also for a potential upgrade of a play area in Kirtley Road. Chair, that's the two projects in addition to the ones that were already had in principle approval by the community board. And it's just to seek the board's approval to take that forward, Chair. And sorry, just to finish off, in terms of the budget for that, we're still waiting further updates in relation to the capital budget for future financial years. I'm hoping to find out about that in the next couple of weeks, and if we obviously we'll find out with the next board cycle, and we'll make sure that the board is made aware of the outcomes from that. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Matt. Angela Scott, you got a comment?
Thanks, Chair. I did notice that in the community safety CCTV provision in the LDP programme, we're seeking approval for the £25,000. So I'd just like to say that Bellshill Community Council would be really keen to be part of any discussions as a community safety partner alongside the police and NHS to just ensure that local people can be part of that decision making. Thanks.
Thanks, Angela. I'm sure that there will be a lot of discussion about the CCTV if it's approved. I've just asked on this. Is anybody against any of these recommendations we put forward tonight? Anybody object to it? No, thanks a lot. Any other comments or questions for Matt?
Chair, can I just come back in just briefly to what Angela's saying there? A lot of the stuff in terms of the CCTV, Angela, you're right, it tends to stem from local communities in the first place, and through raising these issues with the police and other partners, and absolutely the local communities will be very much part of the discussions going forward.
Thanks for that, Matt. Next item is the local outcome improvement plans. Christine?
Chair, sorry, just before you go on there, I've seen a note in the chat bar that Fiona Toner was trying to get in.
Fiona, you were wanting to come in? Fiona Toner, you want to ask a question or make a comment?
I think she's having trouble joining the meeting.
I can maybe pick it up later, pick it up after that Chair goes back in.
If she gets back in, we can pick up on it later. If we continue with the improvement plans, thanks.
Hi there. I'm just going to speak to you for the next few minutes, just an update on the local outcome improvement plans. I'm Christine Reid, Health Improvement Team Leader, and I'm part of the Short Life Working Groups looking at LOIPs and developing the action plans. Okay, right, so just to recap, as you know, the LOIP action plans are happening North Lanarkshire wide. And there'll be co-production of plans for the 9 community board areas. So the idea is that they'll do quite a few things. One is to reflect the community needs, the local community needs, with a focus on interventions. So it's not just about identifying the needs of our community, but taking it further and finding positive solutions. Maximising the use of shared resources. So all of us are working in partnership, whether it's VANL, North Lanarkshire Council, NHS, we're all trying to do very similar things with our communities. We're trying to reduce health inequalities, and we all essentially want local people, children, adults that are healthy, happy, safe, and fulfilling their full potential. So we all have the same end goal. Improve outcomes for those experiencing the highest level of inequality. And essentially, to address inequalities, we do need to be targeting those most in need and most vulnerable. So we've agreed on a phased approach. This was approved by North Lanarkshire Strategic Leadership Group. So most of you have contributed to at least one of the following. We had phase one, which was the mapping, and that involved working with key council services, partner agencies to identify local priorities and actions linked to the strategic priorities. Phase two was the stakeholder engagement, so community boards, community solutions consortia, councillors and managers and officers. Phase three involved wider community engagement activities. So you've probably heard the phrase seldom heard. So that's making sure we identify people that aren't, that good at coming forward and getting their voice heard. So the BAME groups, learning disabilities, carers, people with autism, young people, LGBT, and Survey Monkeys. So there's a huge range of activities and different sort of sources used to identify and access people and get the views. So we're currently at phase four, and we're working with the community boards to finalise the plans. So as a member of the Short Life Working Group, we've met a few times and we're starting to work towards reviewing all of the feedback. We've been doing this over the last few months, looking at the data and intelligence. We're discussing the emerging themes, and from those emerging themes, as a group or a Short Life Working Group, we will be identifying potential priorities, and we've been thinking about ideas for solutions and actions, all of which will be, written up in the action plan. So all of this coming together, the main parts of it will be put in an action plan template that looks like this. So I don't know how well you can actually see it, but it's quite clear, and it'll keep us right and working through it. So we have obviously the community board, which locality, when we've started. Everything we do will be linked to the plan for North Lanarkshire, and it will be linked, whether it's NHS or the council or the voluntary sector, it will be linked to programmes of work. I think all of this is important because it shows that we haven't just plucked ideas out of the air, that anything that we do decide on has to have evidence. You've probably heard the term triangulation, where we've looked at three different points minimum, to make sure that what has been raised actually is an issue, and we've got evidence for that. So we will have targets and milestones, and that keeps us on track. And the big one that we always get asked, how do we know what we're actually doing? We're putting all our effort into this and we're working hard. How do we actually know it's working? So that's the reason why we have outcomes and impacts. And obviously for each programme of work or each priority identified, there will be somebody who will take the lead responsibility. So the next steps. As discussed at the previous board meeting, the special board meetings have been arranged to enable board members to get involved in the process if they wish. Matt mentioned this. I'm speaking about short-term working groups, but obviously community board members can get involved if they want. So over the next few months, special community board meetings will take place. That's between March and June, and essentially these meetings will be to develop the action plans, get them all nice and tidy and organised into the template that I mentioned earlier. And it will involve engaging with partners to agree on the approach we're going to take to develop the actions. And obviously we had to agree, out of the many priorities that have been raised, which ones we're going to identify and prioritise. So date for your diary, the next special community board meeting is Monday, 22nd of March, between 6:30 and 8:30. So the following timelines are broken down into specific tasks. So in these special board meetings, there are specific tasks. So the plan is, and we hope to achieve, that by April, we'll have a draft plan outlined with priorities and development leads for each agreed priority. April and May, we'll have a community board LOIP session to present the draft for discussion, and this will also be made available for comment by the wider community. June, July, the initial plan containing the community boards, sorry, I thought somebody said something there. The community board's agreed priorities will be approved, published. The content of the action plan will determine the subgroups and the content of the agenda for future meetings, and progress will be monitored and reported regularly. And finally, the boards will be responsible for an annual report, which will highlight success, achievements, and any proposed amendments and improvements to the plans. And that's me. Any questions?
Thanks, Christine. Well put out. MD, any comments or questions for Christine? I can't see MD yet.
If it's hard, you can ask Christine Boyle.
Nobody, any questions? Thanks for that good report, Christine.
Okay.
Next item is the board reference subgroups. Christine Boyle this time. Christine.
Thanks, Chair. And obviously it kind of links to what Christine was saying there. In terms of subgroups, it makes sense that the subgroups are very much linked to the priorities. And we can't say what the priorities are until we make sense of all the information that comes back through the engagement processes, but also our first stage of discussing those priorities will be on the 22nd of March. And we're really keen that anybody that's interested in being involved in that lets us know. And it will obviously take more than just one meeting, because there's a whole range of information there that we need to kind of make sense of. But as Christine said as well, in terms of that triangulation of information, we want to look at what is the evidence telling us in terms of priorities, and then the subgroups should definitely be linked to that. We've not really had any feedback in terms of other subgroups, but it kind of makes sense that those subgroups need to be linked to the priorities in the LOIP and in the local community. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Christine. Anybody, any comments or questions for Christine? Jordan.
Thanks very much, Chair. I guess a question on the subgroups, just for clarity, because I know there is a drive generally by the communities team to encourage community boards to to break up into these subgroups. I guess I'm just looking for some reassurance that we'll do that when the community board is ready to do that, and that will be guided by members of the community board around the appropriateness of those subgroups. You know, I think that there is an element of a further development required in terms of the board's, I guess, awareness of the work programmes and the work streams that we're looking at, so that people can feel that they can play an informed part in these subgroups. And then secondly, I guess seeking reassurance, Chair, from yourself or from the officers present, that the subgroups are there to guide and direct conversation, but not to take decisions off table. And that should be the sole reserve for the community boards as per the terms of reference. And I think that reassurance that the dialogue to progress these issues takes place at the subgroups, but the actual approval and agreement should be sought by the full community board.
Can I come in, Chair?
Yes, Matt.
Sure. Just to pick up a couple of points that Councillor Linden referred to there. Firstly, in terms of, you're right that there is a drive to look at subgroups of the community boards, and we're more than happy to be guided by the boards themselves in relation to whether individuals feel they want to participate in that process. And but just to have that on the table, that's an option for people going forward. We're more than happy to do that. And if people are interested in setting up groups for specific things, we're more than happy to pick that up with them and give advice and assistance in relation to that, and look at that link to the priorities that Christine was talking about. Certainly in relation to your second point, absolutely the boards are there to consider the issues that they might want to raise at this particular subgroups, but they're then to feed back into the main board for decisions to be made in relation to that and for further discussion to take place. They're absolutely not there to be standalone or to act in a way to take their decisions away from the board, but certainly to feed that back into you.
Thanks, Matt. Okay with you, Jordan? Okay. I think also that there is people who may be not willing to talk in the big group, but perhaps would join in a smaller group for conversation and get their points across. So it helps in that way as well. But everything that is recommended by the subgroup will come to the main board for decision. Anybody else? No, thanks. Okay, on now here. To make petitions. There's no petitions present for this meeting.
No petitions tonight, Chair.
Thanks, Matt. Number 9, input from local community groups. Has anybody got anything they want to input into the board? Angela?
Chair, see before you get back on that, sorry Angela, if you don't mind, just there was one point there, it was just the item 7, it was just relating to the meeting that's taking place regarding the town and community hub. I just wanted to draw people's attention to the town community hub meeting that's taking place on the 15th of March, 6:30. There will be a lot of information sent out to people. You should have received that, the link to the meeting and the Eventbrite opportunity to book into that meeting for those that want to attend it. So just wanted to reiterate that. Christine will put some more information in the chat bar for those that might not have already received it, Chair. Just wanted to raise that.
Thanks, Matt. I missed that one out. So if anybody any questions or comments regarding the town and community hubs, Christine's put a link up on the chat bar, so if anybody wants to know anything to that link, that's great, thanks. Right, input from community groups. Angela, you were wanting Angela Scott.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. It was just to highlight that Bellshill Community Council have kind of regrouped for the year ahead and looking at restrictions during the COVID pandemic. So we asked the local residents using social media and posters in local shops what the main issues were for the area, and litter seems to be a huge problem, that and dog filing. So Bellshill Community Council are now putting forward a Make Bellshill Beautiful campaign, and we will be working with other partners just to promote that. We've had help from our local councillors, Councillor Linden and Councillor Campbell. They attended our latest planning group, and they've put us in touch with staff from North Lanarkshire Council Environmental Services. So just really to highlight for people in Bellshill that this is available, and to get in touch with us. And if there's anybody on this group that can help us looking at funding and how we can go forward, it would be greatly appreciated. Thanks.
Thanks, Angela. Yeah, I have seen your posts. Can I suggest you contact the Better Bothwell Committee? I don't have the address of them, but I know I see them. They do litter campaigns on Bothwell, and they've been very successful in the past. I've seen some of theirs. So if you, I don't, maybe an idea just to speak to somebody for there. I'll try and get you the details of the chairperson or secretary. I know they're very successful in their campaigns.
That would be great. I've also joined the national campaign Keep Scotland Beautiful and the local NLC, the Tidy Up campaign as well. So we're really passionate about getting this message out about cleaning up our environment. Thanks.
Thanks, Angela. we could even have somebody from the Keep Scotland Beautiful to come to a future meeting as well. I believe we've had one in the past. We could maybe arrange that later on.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Anybody else? Nothing. Martin?
Thanks, Chair. It's just a wee quick one, really. Thornwood Community Council going to have their AGM next month, so it's just to kind of let everybody know about that. To say to Angela on behalf of our Community Council, I know we encroach onto Bellshill a wee bit, so if you need any help in any way at all, let us know, and we'll be happy to, get bodies over and assist. Lastly, we've got six or seven elected members. I said this last month as well. Seems to fall on deaf ears. We've got 6 or 7 elected members that cover the Thornwood area as far as the community council's concerned. So in Fallside and Bellshill area as well. And some of them just do not come to our community council meetings. So if you're an elected member and you want to be part of the community, come to the community council meetings. So that's what I'd like to say. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thanks, Martin.
Thanks, Chair.
Anybody else?
Do you mind, Chair, if I just come in on that with your permission? I think it's important. I think it's important Martin makes the point, absolutely, as Chair of the Thornwood Community Council. I think, though, in fairness, I know he's trying to avoid naming people. I do think it's fair to say that this has been broadcast and can be watched again. So there are certain councillors here who regularly turn up at Thornwood Community Council. So it's also fair to say that they do so in order that those who are watching avidly in the public know that. I can see Angela nodding because she's one of them who regularly turn up, and I think it's important that anybody who is watching doesn't get the impression that we're all sitting on our backsides, no coming along to meetings of the Community Council, because there's some incredible work being done by both Thornwood Community Council and indeed Bellshill Community Council. I think it's important that that's also put in the record, so our thanks to them for their work that they're doing at the moment right across our communities against a really difficult backdrop.
Thanks for that, Jordan. Anybody else? I don't see any. Remember, I can't see everybody at the one time, so if your name's not in the chat bar, I might not be able to see, but I don't think anybody else is voting in that. No. 8 and 10 input from community planning partners. David Boyle from Scottish Fire and Rescue.
Hi, thanks, Chair. I'll try and attempt to share my paper I have. Shared it down through the email address. I'll hopefully not bring up the agenda this time. I could ask somebody to share my paper. Can you see that? In fact, can you see the briefing report there, Bellshill Community Board? Yeah, right, good. So thanks very much, Chair. So that is for the period 1st October to 31st of December 2020. So the previous quarter 3 of the year 2021. During that last quarter there, our firefighters at the station were engaged in training for fire behaviour, firefighting techniques, breathing apparatus, petrochemical, dots and lines and animal rescue. During the period, we attended 216 operational incidents. And I'm just going to skip through. That's just a wee quick overview. So you've got all that. You can see our top incidents is false alarms and refuse fires. And there is a couple of dwelling fires in there as well. But I'll go through them in turn. So the 7 KPIs, this is broken down over the 3 wards. We've had 73 deliberate fires, predominantly secondary fires. As you can see there from the little graph, a lot of it's been loose refuse. So basically rubbish fires. We have had a couple of issues with wheelie bins in the View Park area up in Bellshill and also in Moss End and Holytown. I'll come to that later on with some of our community action. For 22 accidental fires, 8 of which were dwelling house fires, predominantly cooking related. Again, if I just bring your attention down to the little graph, That's most of our incidents there for our fires, accidental dwelling fires. Predominantly Bellshill, so we will be looking at doing engagement within the Bellshill area. Pleased to say we've had no fire fatalities within that quarter, and we've had one fire casualty, which was one of our own. It was a firefighter from Hamilton Fire Station. He was cutting away after a fire within a garage, and he managed to get some unidentified liquid in his eye while cutting away. When we're cutting away, we cut away any burnt wood to see if there's any fire spread. So he managed to get some liquid in his eye, and he went to hospital, but he's okay. We had 7 non-domestic fires, 4 were accidental, 3 were deliberate. 23 special services. So special services include road traffic collisions, floodings, affected entry to assist other agencies as well. So as you can see, most of our special services are cars, RTCs. I'm just going to touch on that in the next KPI. So we've had 4 road traffic collision casualties. 2 casualties were at the A725 Shawhead flyover, where one received a precautionary check-up on scene by ambulance personnel, and another casualty attended hospital. And there was a further 2 separate incidents within the area. If I could just draw you back to the A725 Shawhead flyover. Just during my reports to the Bellshill Community Council, I've been reporting back on a monthly basis, and I've noticed that there has been an increased incidence of incidents within the locality of the Shawhead flyover. So much so that we've managed to arrange a meeting with Transport Scotland. We've got other members coming from North Lanarkshire Council. We've got the Roads Department coming. We're looking to get police and ambulance service as well. We're going to try and identify the problem there. Could it be just down to the layout of the road? Is it driver bad driving practices? Hopefully we'll get down to the problem and we'll come up with a solution. That's on Wednesday, the 17th of March. Just moving on to number 7. So with 98 false alarms, predominantly UFAS. So this is unwanted fire alarm signals. So we'll continue to work with duty holders to reduce the unwanted fire alarm signals, because basically if you've got somebody that's maybe burnt toast or their smoke detector's in the wrong position and it's going off inadvertently, we're sending an appliance there. We're going to that incident under blue light conditions, so it is a higher risk to road users while we're travelling to these premises. And also we could be taking away a vital resource from an emergency somewhere else. Just move you back down to what's happening with the community. Let's go by this graph. So community safety. So although we're in lockdown and our personnel within the station have reduced their visibility within the community, we're only going out unless we're attending incidents or we're going out to do high risk home fire safety visits. So during the period we attended 105 home fire safety visits, where we could fit a 10-year smoke alarm, and if required we can refer on to partner agencies if they're a high risk. We also attend case conferences and with our other community partners as well, hopefully to get some safe outcomes. And if we do attend an incident as well, we'll do what's called a post-domestic incident response, where we'll carry out a home fire safety visit, and we'll also target the highest risks and the most vulnerable within the community, make them top of our agenda. Our community action team, they still continue to engage with the local education establishments, and areas of high activity was identified, as I said earlier on, with secondary fires, and we had joint fire safety crime reduction activity with our partner Police Scotland, and that was, I know there it's saying it's planned, it's already been done in January and February, and that was that was Juniper Road in View Park, I think Orbiston direction in Bellshill, and up Holytown as well. They've all been carried out. Over the piece as well, it was during the period of bonfire night, and we had a total of 8 deliberate secondary fires which were unattended by a responsible person. So from our point of view, that was a good thing. Community safety wise, there wasn't a lot of unattended bonfires, which was good from our point of view. Unfortunately, Liberty Road, we were subjected to some verbal abuse while attending a secondary fire, and a bottle was thrown at the crews. Unfortunately, there was no injuries. In the fire station itself, with the custodians we now have 3 beehives within the station, and we've been fenced off, and we've got a wild garden now as well. So that's to help feed the bees once they come back to us. I'll maybe ask Billy later on when that will be due, when he thinks he'll be coming back to us. And we've also got the rear of the station as well, which we're looking to make use of for the local community. Still looking for ideas. I've got one of my watch commanders on it just now, and hopefully he'll be in touch with some of you soon. At Christmas time, during the festive period, we liaised with our partners in Morrison's, Community Safety Champions, where we donated some selection boxes for the local community. And local food banks, an excellent way for fire safety leaflets to be distributed while we're in our COVID lockdown. And that started off within the Bellshill area, and it's now been extended throughout North Lanarkshire, so that's really taken off throughout the area. And I've just added at the end there, you've all got this report, and I'll just a couple of links to the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service page. Our current thematic action plan just now is spring safety, and that's deliberate fires. A couple of years back during the Easter time, we had an unusual spate of good weather, and we had a lot of secondary grass fires in 2019 it was. So we've got a engagement plan to hopefully not get the same numbers as we had before. We've got our Twitter page as well, if anybody's looking for any updates on what we're doing within the area for North Lanarkshire. There's some information at the very bottom as well, how to get your free home fire safety visit and smoke alarms if required. And that's me. I'm happy to take any questions. I'm just going to try and suss out how to stop sharing this now.
Thanks for that, David. Hugh Breen, you want to come in with a question?
Yes, Chair. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me, David?
Yeah, I can hear you, Hugh, yep.
It's about the Shawhead Isle, David.
Yep.
Back some time. I don't know how many years that was first opened. It was several months after it opened. We had one of the local area partnership meetings. The police, I don't think it was a fireman, but I believe the police officer gave a report. And there were a lot of complaints about incidents there. And he repeated your words that they're going to have a meeting with Scottish Transport Scotland.
Yep.
I don't know if they've done anything, but a family live up in that area, just down by McKinnon Mill. I'm up there quite a lot myself. Not the now because we're not at the house, but there is major problems in that area, David.
Yeah.
And I hope you can solve some of them in meeting 17th of March. There definitely is going to be some serious incidents there. Hopefully not. Thanks for listening to me.
Oh, thanks, Hugh. Just in reply to that, I have collated some data. I do believe the Shawhead flyover was opened in 2017. So I've collated some information for the past 5 years, and just looking at it with casualties, it's averaging 2 a year. So there's just round about the 20 mark. I was in the station today, and there is a wee lag sometimes with incidents the guys go to, and then when it gets reported and it goes onto my system. But just looking today, at the start of this month, there was another 2 on the A725. So I've taken a note of that as well, and I'll bring it to this meeting. I'm just looking for, hopefully, we can identify the problem. Is it the new layout of the road? Is it driver behaviour? Is it a mixture of both? And hopefully we can come to some sort of solution.
Thanks, David. Angela, Scott, you were wanting in. I'm sorry I missed you.
Yeah, David, just to let you know that the link to that meeting with Transport Scotland and the police and yourself is on our Facebook page, and we'll also put posters in the local shops as well with a link to that meeting.
That's great. Thanks, Angela. Thank you.
Billy.
Hi, David. Sorry, David. Can I just double check? It was 4 road traffic accidents since October.
To bring up my report again, I think it was 2 at the A725 and 4 within the location. Yeah, I'll bring that up again. Yeah, it was 4. I've not brought it up there. It was 2 within the A725 Shawhead location and 2 elsewhere within the area.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Jordan.
Thanks so much, Chair. Thanks, Davy, for the report. Just further to Hughie's comments, I think it's important. I think that it's the Shawhead flyover is something that everybody right across the political spectrum, as well as officers and partners, are acutely aware of in terms of the issues that we've had there. And I think it's fair to say that Bellshill Community Council have tried for quite some time to get Transport Scotland to facilitate a meeting. I know that obviously with the change in office bearers, that's taken a wee while longer when they did make the offer. But a reiteration really of the plug that people who are interested and passionate about this issue should come along to that meeting. It's going to be an excellent opportunity. There are a number of officers from Transport Scotland there, as well as obviously our partners. And I think that, you know, just to reiterate the important message here, that right across the board, we're entirely aware that clearly there are issues there. There is no doubt about it. People raise it with us continuously. It is something that is not off our radar. It's very much on our radar. And our responsibility, not only as community partners, but as a board, is to articulate that to Transport Scotland when they come to the Community Council's meeting, so that they go away and know that people in Bellshill and further afield, who knows, people from Coatbridge might be watching, you know, that we are taking this seriously and that there has to be some action taken. And I think that is something that we have unity of purpose on, whether you be a politician or whether you be an officer or indeed a partner.
Thank you.
Also, convener, I just realised that I think I may have jumped the queue. I think Martin O'Neill was in front of me, but I'm going to blame you for that one, convener.
Martin, sorry about that.
That's all right. I'll not hold it against you, Chair, for long. I've got 2 questions, David, if that's all right. Hi, David. How you doing,
No
mate?
bother, Martin. I'm good, thanks. You?
Aye, good, thanks. Good to see you, man. Right, first question is, has there been an increase in uptake of the home fire safety visits in Thornwood specifically, do you know? Because I know I've been saying to a few people that I know that could be in, you know, use of it, vulnerable persons and stuff, so just wondering if there's a good uptake on it.
I've not got the information that I've created for my report tonight was over the 3 wards.
Right.
I've got my Thornwood council meeting tomorrow night, which I'll bring that information tomorrow night if that's okay.
Cool, no worries.
Thanks,
just in case you were, I know you're the busiest man in Bellshill, so might not see you tomorrow, so that's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Also, I'm interested to know if there's an increase in rubbish fires generally. I know there's been an increase in tipping, so I'm wondering if there's an increase in actual fires of that rubbish that's being tipped.
Well, last year that was one of our fears within the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, when we knew that there was going to be charges for the uplifts and there was going to be a higher increase within fly tipping. Basically, I'm just going over my report again here to look at deliberate fires. The actual graph that I'm showing here, it's actually showing a downward trend, but that's only for that quarter, and that quarter was over the winter. So again, if you want me to get that information, I could get you a yearly report looking over the last year or last 6 months. That's not a problem. I could get you that information if required.
If that would be easily obtainable,
Yes.
David, thanks very much, mate, because as
No
you
problem.
say, you know, fly tipping unfortunately did go in the increase because of the introducing the charges for uplifts. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Just try to get. That's great. Thanks a lot, David. Thanks,
No
Chair.
bother, thank you.
Hughie, you want a quick question again?
Thanks, Chair. Sorry, Dave, just a quick one.
Okay.
I don't know how sure I am about this. Was there not a fatality at the Shawhead just outside the hotel just last week? If there wasn't a fatality, a serious incident because the police had it taken off.
Not that I'm aware of it. And if that was over at the hotel side, that's in your Coatbridge South ward. So I wouldn't have been notified that, and that comes under Coatbridge Fire Station. But we would get notified as well as part of the fire service in North Lanarkshire. I know there was maybe a serious incident. Was this a pedestrian with the HGV? I thought that was down at Albion Rovers ground, and I know that was a fatality. Was it not? Was that at the hotel?
That was the young chap from View Park.
Yeah. Again, that goes in for our benefit. That would go into the Coatbridge Community Board. That one.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay. Just on that, Hughie and everybody else as well. The Shawhead, where Shawhead is, that is the actual border between our Coatbridge South and our Bellshill wards, as you probably know. So I'm trying to get information from both the wards, and I will include that. I don't know if that was what the ins and outs of that, but I'll contact Coatbridge and I'll see if we can get more information on that as well. And that'd be a handy one to take to the meeting we've got too. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Anybody else? Any more questions, comments? No. Do somebody from the police?
Thanks, Chair.
Do we have somebody? Can't hear them.
Chair, I think Graham McLaughlin was there from police. I don't know if he's still with us.
Yeah, Graham's still there.
Still there, Graham? I see on the chat bar here nothing coming through. Right, well, we can leave that now to see if you can get through. If you can get through, we can come back to you. Before we go into any more, I'd like to ask Karen Thompson to introduce herself. She's the new manager for NHS manager for Bellshill. Karen. Karen, are you there?
Karen is still on the call, Chair. Can't hear you,
yeah.
Karen, but you trying to speak. Can you unmute, Karen?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Aye. Yes, we
can. Karen, yeah.
Sorry about that. I think I was on double mute. I think that was the problem. I'm sitting boiling away to you too. Yeah, I was just saying I'm Karen Thompson. I'm based at View Park Health Centre, covering Bellshill. I just started on the 1st of March, so I was just saying to you all, nice to introduce myself and be with me. My services that I have for NHS Lanarkshire are community services and district nursing. I've got health visiting, and I have some mental health services for adults and older people, and I also have responsibility for a rehab team. So I've got a physios and a OTs in there doing some really amazing work. In NHS Lanarkshire, we're obviously very focused around doing our COVID vaccinations in Bellshill, and that's going really, really well. So I'm pleased to report that that's going amazingly well, and I've put my email on the chat, so please contact me if there's anything that I can be of help with. I'm sure I'll get to meet you more, and as I go through my posts, learn more about some of the kind of main issues within the locality. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Is anybody any comments or questions for Karen? Hughie?
Sorry, Chair, I was trying on the chat. Just a quick one, Karen, because you mentioned
certainly.
I'm getting a lot of complaints on Facebook, local Facebooks, about people having to travel to either East Kilbride or Evanscraig. Is it true that the Matt Busby is not longer closed at the moment for that?
Yes, that is correct actually. So that's just we did other clinics at the weekend there, but yes, I've went to 2 mass vaccination sites at the moment. Now, I do know that it has been recognised, obviously, around there may be limitations around travel. We do continue to do, obviously, our housebound vaccinations. So we are still doing our home visits, and any patients that do have any difficulty with travelling to the centres, obviously we'll need to take that into account. We may need to put on kind of sporadic clinics in between, but yeah, that is correct that we've opened up the 2 main vaccination sites for Lanarkshire.
Thanks. Jordan?
Yeah, thanks for bringing me in, Chair, ahead of others on this. I mean, I do think it's important. Forgive me, Karen, just a slight correction to that. I know that you're the NHS Lanarkshire rep, but I am one of the members of the Integration Joint Board for Health and Social Care in North Lanarkshire. And actually, there is a retention of 3 sites, and Bellshill is one of them, for those who are unable to get to Ravenscraig. I think that's important.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, sorry, that's what I was saying. But obviously, we'll put on those extra clinics out with for those patients that can't travel.
Yeah, forgive me, just so that it's placed on the record for those who are watching. Then, Chair, we obviously have the site at Ravenscraig where we have 35 lanes able to deliver 35,000 vaccinations a week when it's at its peak, as well as the site at Bellshill, Coatbridge and Cumbernauld that can do the kind of follow-ups if people can't make it. The logistical support is in place with the council and its partners to provide transport to those who need to get to those facilities, as well as obviously, as Karen's mentioned, the domiciliary visits for those who are less ambulatory. That's able to be provided as well. But I do think it's fair to say that there's a recognition of genuine concern, and I don't think that that's unwarranted by people that think that people just will not travel. I think we're listening to that, we're hearing that, and I think that the board, both the Health Board and the Integration Joint Board, will listen to that and reflect on it, because at the end of the day, everybody's priority here, whether you're in the council, in the board, or indeed in the NHS Lanarkshire board, is to get vaccinations into people as quickly as possible, so we can get out the pandemic.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Thanks, Jordan. I've missed out a couple of people, so I'm trying to get through. The chat bar was jumping that quick. That's why I missed it. Angela Scott.
Yeah, it was the same question as Hughie, and Karen and Jordan have answered it. Thank you.
Karen Thompson. Karen, wait a minute. Anybody else any other questions?
I think that was my fault, but just to help you, Chair, I think it's Councillor Mooney's got a question.
I know, I'm reading down it. Christine Boyle first.
Chair, that I've not put a question on. I was just responding to Graham McLaughlin, who said that he can answer questions on the chat bar because he can't come through.
Right, thanks. Nora.
Thanks very much, Chair. My question really is just how specifically can patients be put on the list for the Bellshill Clinic? Because I've been inundated over the weekend with people that can't travel to Ravenscraig, and obviously I'm keen to resolve their problems, but I was in the process of actually sending emails to their individual doctor's surgery to ask about the possibility of some of them, not all of them, being added to the housebound list. Because some of them genuinely can't get out their house to go up there. So how specifically can we get those patients onto the Bellshill list? If you can let me know, thank you.
I would be certainly more than happy to assist you with that. Very, very keen. Just like we were discussing here, we're trying to get all of our patients vaccinated as quickly as we can. So I'm more than happy. We do hold that list centrally, and I'm more than happy to take that information from you and ensure that those patients are on our list.
Thanks, Karen. Could you possibly drop me a wee email then at my council email if you can, and I'll put the people on the wee list for you with their details.
Thank you. Okay. Of course, I'll do that. Thanks.
Thanks.
Martin.
Thanks, Chair. Just a personal experience with this, and that was invited on the 8th of February to go in, but I was unwell. So you phone up the number, they don't offer you anything like that when you, at that point, I think Matt Busby was kind of taken off the table initially, and I was offered East Kilbride or Ravenscraig, and I was like, I'm not mobile, you know, I'm on PIP for mobility, I can't make it there, I don't have a car. Oh, you'll just need to phone up again on Thursday. And so I don't know whether it's lack of communication between, you know, the people that are making these decisions in the contact centre that you know, that are giving the information out. But that, although I was, you know, I told them that there was a mobility and attendance issue there, it wasn't offered to me, and I was told just to wait. So as a result, I am still unvaccinated, you know, over a month later. So.
Okay, thanks for that. We've had an apology from Graham saying if anybody wants any particular questions, they can contact him in the email that he's provided in the chat bar. Thank you. Angela Campbell.
Hi, just to say that I had a problem for someone, and we were supplied with a contact email via Stephen Penman, and I did that, and it was for a girl that was found, and someone came out and arranged it to come out the same vaccine that we do. Get to the right email address. Stephen oh,
Thanks for that, Angela.
Chair, sorry, just to say further to that, Angela's reading minds. I've just sent Councillor Mooney that so that she has access, and anybody who needs it can get in touch.
Right, thank you. Anybody else? No. Thanks for that. Where am I going? Any other business?
Chair. Oh dear. So, I don't know what seems to be the trouble.
Chair, I think Fiona.
Turn your speakers down.
You might be on twice.
Fiona, you're logged in twice, and that causes an echo.
I think she's on 3 times, Matt.
All right, you're on multiple times, that causes an echo, unfortunately.
And while we're waiting for that to get fixed, Nora, you're working.
Can you hear me? Oh my.
Thanks very much, Chair. It's just to flag with everyone that the View Park Gardens Trust have got a questionnaire on their website just now. It's part of their consultation process. And they would urge everyone, if possible, to go on and put some comments on. So if you go onto Facebook and go on to View Park Gardens Trust, you'll see the link there for that. They've also got a meeting this Friday, and again, the link is on their Facebook page. And can I urge everyone who wants to save these gardens to please join? Thank you.
Thanks, Nora. Anybody else? John McLeish.
Hi, Councillor. Yeah, I'd asked Christine for an update. Obviously, I think it was mooted at last meeting that the environmental assets guy John Ashcroft would provide an update every meeting, just to let us know what stage we were at in terms of the action at that. So just to see if I could get an update on that if there is one.
Chair, I'm happy to answer that if you want.
Right.
Just to say, I spoke to John Ashcroft. Unfortunately, wasn't able to come to the meeting tonight. But what he's told us is that there's no really any further progress from the last meeting. He's awaiting confirmation about funding. That funding will be available through Capital Programme, and he thinks that's going to the Policy and Strategy Committee on the 18th of March. So there should be some feedback after that. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Christine. Okay.
Christine, thanks, Chair.
Right. Anybody else, any other business? Christine? You're on mute, Christine.
Sorry, got it. It's back to the issue around transport for people. So essentially, is that me?
I don't know who it is.
Matt, I think it's Miss Toner again. That's it.
Right,
I've
Christine.
muted Fiona.
I'll try again.
Try again, yeah.
Can you hear me? Right, so it's really NHS Inform is where we are sending everybody to get their information. I tried to put the link up in chat, but I had a problem, but I'll try again. Essentially, Vanel have put on a service. They've got a helpline and available from 8 in the morning to 8 at night, 7 days a week, directed at local operatives who'll provide details, and people with a mobility issue. It's saying here is bookable by my bus. So there's stuff like that that they've already got sort of up and running. So I can try and get that on the chat or send it to someone to get into the minutes. Would that help?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I don't know what I've done to the chat. I've started lettering to somebody and then I can't get it off into the general chat. Can anyone tell me how to do that? I've gone from speaking to an individual and then I can't
Just get back up to, if you take the line back up to the top, Christine, it gives you the option to click on everyone. Just on the participants list, just take it back up to the top.
Okay. Billy, you want in?
Right, thanks.
Just to ask a quick question, if I may, is it still council policy for schools that are being redeveloped to have a joint campus, or is there still opportunity to have two separate individual schools?
I think Councillor McMalley would be the best one to answer that, I think.
Thanks very much, Chair. Thanks very much, Chair. Yeah, I mean, we've opened a few joint campuses recently in Airdrie and other areas of the authority. So the council is still committed to building joint campuses, but we also see projects like St Dominic's where you build a standalone. Originally, St Dominic's was supposed to be part of a campus, and then obviously it was impacted by the fire, and that's a sort of standalone primary school. So you know, we're not prescriptive on that, Billy, but we have a strong track record on joint campuses.
Thanks very much.
Thanks. Karen's put the helpline number on, chat bar for everybody. Anybody else, any other business? I'll try that person who's trying to get in earlier. Could they get in? No. I don't know who it is.
I think it's Fiona Toner, Chair, but she's logged on 3 times and the audio is really poor. So unfortunately, we won't be able to get any input.
She needs to go right back out and go back in again.
Will you me? Oh dear.
Just type it in the text bar.
I Fiona Toner from Moss End Tenants and Business Association.
Can you hear you, Fiona?
Matt, is it worth, sorry, through you, Chair, apologies, is it worth trying to expel 2 of the versions of Fiona in the participants list, leaving one over, which can be unmuted?
I don't know how to do that. Councillor.
So all you would do is go into the participants list, right click the individual, and then just press expel, and it removes them from the meeting. That would mean you'd be able to take away duplication. Just a suggestion if we're waiting to hear from Fiona, Chair. Thanks.
Try again now, Fiona.
How's that? Can
That's
you hear me
fine.
all right? Can
Can
you
hear
hear
you
me all
now.
right now?
Yes, I can hear you.
I do apologise, Mr. Chairman, for all of this. What I would like to highlight the park area in Hope Street, Moss End, just across from the school, and ask if it would be possible for this to be considered for enhanced lighting and/or CCTV. The area is very dark, and I think improved lighting would prove a deterrent for the children that have been gathering in this area since summertime, with antisocial behaviour as the norm. However, in recent weeks, it's deteriorated really badly, culminating in a window of the local presbytery being deliberately broken. And it's felt that if nothing is done, these youngsters are just running rampant, and they're also climbing the scaffolding surrounding the school building. And of course, this situation could have potential serious consequences, you know, and it's quite perturbing that this is happening in our locality. And we feel that maybe if the consideration of enhanced lighting would at least help the situation. The police are aware of what's been happening, and we're just looking for a bit of support and some help, please. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm sure that's one of the projects we could look at for the funding that comes up in April. We could maybe look at, if Matt wants to have a look at that for us.
Chair, if I can come in, I know there's a looking to come in, you'd be very happy with me coming in for a minute. I'll look at that in terms of, I'll add that to the list if the board's okay with me adding that to the list as a potential project in relation to enhanced lighting in that area. I would have to say in terms of lighting, you may have heard feedback before in relation to lighting of play areas in particular. It's not something the council has done as a matter of course. We tend to make our play areas themselves to be dawn till dusk attractions rather than having them lit all the time, because they can tend to attract in some areas issues that we're trying to avoid, as you're describing tonight, if the lighting's improved. But that doesn't stop us from looking at lighting round about the area that might impact on the wider environment. So we'll certainly add that to the list as a potential project. And just to confirm, already in discussions with colleagues in relation to CCTV in the area. I've been made aware of that by some people, some elected members over the weekend as well. And some we've tried to pick up on today. And I know there will be CCTV was moved away from there whilst there was some work getting done on that site, but that's going to be reinstated very quickly, and we'll look to get a more permanent measure in there as soon as we can, Chair.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, that would be very helpful. Thank you very much indeed. The lighting itself on Hope Street isn't, you know, it's quite dull anyway, and I think that doesn't help either with the current situation that we're experiencing. But thank you very much indeed for your help, Matt. That's very good of you. Thank you.
Frank, you want to come in?
No, thanks very much, Chair. I mean, I think Fiona's covered it and Matt have both covered it fairly well. I mean, it's a really shocking set of circumstances that's developed in recent times. And I mean, Matt's right, thinking back, you know, 4 years ago now, when we were sort of developing the park, it was a conscious decision not to put lighting in, because for the reasons that Matt said, you know, that it can often attract people sort of well into the night, and sort of that's something that we don't want to see happen. But when you do get, you know, a sort of level of recurring antisocial behaviour, then it's important that we do reflect on that. So, you know, I completely endorse what's been said there, and obviously the issues around CCTV. But I'm grateful to Graham and Liam Bryson from Police Scotland. I had the opportunity to speak to Liam on Friday, and certainly there was, you know, we're you know, increasing the patrols in and around the Hope Street area, and that's something that that we welcome, and I think we just need to keep an eye on that, so I'm moving forward, Chair. But happy with the contribution that's been made by Matt there, and for consideration to be given to that.
Thanks, Frank. And Graham has said that Police Scotland are aware of it, and they've have additional patrols in areas over the next couple of weeks, so that hopefully will alleviate some of it.
Sorry, Chair, if I can just come back in there, there was one point that I missed, and Fiona had raised it around the scaffolding at Holy Family. We are aware of that, and certainly you know, that's not only putting the young people or anyone who accesses that site to climb the scaffolding, it not only puts their own lives at risk, but also other people in the vicinity as well, and workers, because you don't know the sort of issues that could be causing there. So certainly the corporate property team within the council have been out at the site with the intention of completely looking at that, and effectively, as they call it, sort of making it safe, following that sort of incursion, but also looking at what other measures can be put in place to make sure that anyone who would be looking to access that site wouldn't be able to do so. They'll do so easily anyway, Chair. So I just wanted to add that as well. Thanks.
Right, thanks, Frank. I've got Martin and Neil want to come in on another point, but Billy McQueen wants to come in on this point. Billy?
Yeah, hi, it's just with regards to that football park. The minute you put lights anywhere near that, they will be there to the early hours of the morning playing football. So just to give you the heads up.
Thanks for that, Billy. We will certainly look at it anyway. We'll put it on our agenda for the future. Martin, you were wanting to come in?
Thanks, Chair. I'm aware of the time, so I'll make it very, very quick. It's a shame that Graham might not be able to kind of back and forward with this, but hopefully he can hear me. The motorbike issue in View Park, in particular, Laburnum Road, is not lessening in any way at all now. There were two different motorbike issues, where one of them was people were coming far and wide to come down the Glen to more or less legitimately ride their motorbikes because they had landowners from Ashton down at the farmers, but they were going through the Glen and disrupting people there. But there are residents in Laburnum Road and in View Park who are specifically firing up and down those streets on the pavements with their buggies, with unregistered, unlicensed motorbikes, no safety headwear. And I know I keep saying it, and we keep discussing it at our meetings, and it's been going on and on and on since the start of lockdown. It is not getting any better. I heard through the grapevine, whether it's hearsay or nonsense or true, but there's been a change, I've heard, in the way that police are dealing with pursuit, that it's non-pursuit completely now, rather than approaching. I don't know, I was hoping to get a definitive from the Chief Inspector, but I don't know what the actual deal is, but it doesn't seem to be getting dealt with. We've had a big campaign where we've been saying, you know, if we see something, say something, and people are reporting it, but it just doesn't seem to be getting any better at all, and they have got no regard for any safety at all down there, and it's going to end up that one of the probably harder and stiffer members of the public are going to take it into their own hands, and we don't want that either. So I'm hoping that there can be some sort of end brought to this soon. Sundays are the worst day. It's the worst day. It's there from morning to night, constant, and you don't seem to see police, unfortunately. So
I think that this is something that's happening throughout the area. I know it's happening in Bellshill and Hollytown.
Yeah.
But Matt's got a briefing for the police, if you want to say it, Matt.
Thanks, Chair. Just quickly, Graham McLaughlin's just asked me just to share a very brief note. I apologise again for being unable to have any audio just now, but just to give an update. And if there's any questions of that, we could come on the chat bar. We'll make sure that's passed to Graham for any feedback. Just to give you the note, over the last few months, Bellshill officers have targeted people committing crimes of dishonesty and drugs. View Park officers conducted extensive inquiries in relation to crimes of dishonesty in the area and detected a number of local offenders who have since been moved from the area, and a travelling group from Glasgow who have also been charged. In View Park, there has also been a lot of partnership working around road traffic issues, a particular concern being car meets in Birkinshaw. Working with residents, councillors, local officers and roads policing, the area was targeted intensively when large meets were arranged to discourage and to disperse them. Officers have proactively targeted drug dealers in the area, resulting in several significant recoveries of drugs and persons charged with supply, production of drugs. Local concerns about speeding have been subject to increased patrols, including road policing and the deployment of speed guns. Going ahead, we'll be targeting the use of off-road bikes, antisocial behaviour and fires, particularly of wheelie bins. On the Shawhead flyover discussion, I raised the concerns via our road policing last year, and the layout was reviewed and deemed appropriate. I will have our road policing involved in the upcoming meeting. That's just the update from Graham at this stage, Chair.
Thanks, Matt. It's something that we could monitor anyway, and I'm sure the next meeting Graham will be able to go on, we'll be able to get into detail about it, because I know the board did give them money to provide 2 bikes to chase them, basically. I don't know what's happening there. We haven't had the report on it for a while. But I know it's one of these things. It's happening all over. I nearly knocked one down the other night there. They came out the side street all in black with no lights. You know, it's something it's going to happen, a fatality.
To you, Chair, if I could just say, they're not even allowed to chase them. That's the thing. They're not even allowed to chase them. So they know that, and they just they know that they just need to drive away and then come back. And it's not the police's fault. I'm just saying it's. But thanks, I appreciate that.
Great. Anybody, anything else? Nobody, anything? Yeah. Well, thanks again for coming along to the meeting. I think it's been really good to hear people speak and get the views across, and I look forward to working with you all in the future. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Chair.
Matt, could you stay on a minute?
Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Chair.
Well, thanks, Chair.
Are they all still on? Just a wee point I was wanting to ask you, Matt. I'm not sure if the rest of them are off yet.